Hi all, welcome back to my channel. In case you haven't heard or haven't heard the details of the horrific shooting that took place on June 21st of 2024 at a small town grocery store in Fordyce, Arkansas in the middle of the day, witnesses shared their stories of the horror that took place and how quickly the parking lot in front of the Mad Butcher grocery store went from calm and peaceful to a full-on war zone, with people, including children, running for cover from the gunshots. Police said in a press conference that I'll play for you later in this video that 11 civilians were shot and 3 of them were killed as they went about their day, buying groceries to feed their families, after they were ambushed and shot either in the parking lot or through the windows of the grocery store. Police also said 2 police officers were also shot, but sustained non-life-threatening injuries as they engaged in a gunfight with the shooter in the parking lot in an attempt to stop him and save lives. They said the shooter was also grazed by a bullet before he was taken into custody, but he's expected to survive his injury. Unlike the mother of a precious baby girl, who he shot and killed while she was shopping in the store, whose parents talked about how they found out she was one of the victims inside. There were also other witnesses and people working in the area who captured the chaos on video and shared their stories of their terrifying experiences as the nightmare unfolded. And warning, if you haven't yet seen the video of the shooting provided by one of the witnesses, that includes the active shooter, be warned that it's coming up in this first news clip, in case you have little ears around and need to click off. I also apologize if some clips have lower volume than others, but that's how the news played them.
We start with that breaking news. Another deadly mass shooting in America, this time in Arkansas. It happened at lunchtime about an hour south of Little Rock. The gunman firing shot after shot at a grocery store before he was taken down by police officers. The director of the Arkansas State Police spoke just a short time ago, giving new information about the status of the victims, but no word on the suspect's motive yet. CBS's Omar Villafranca has the very latest.
We're at Mad Butcher in Fordyce, and there's a shooting going on.
Gunshots rang out at this grocery store in Fordyce, Arkansas, about 70 miles south of Little Rock.
Oh my God, baby.
This video appears to show a man armed with a shotgun shooting at officers who were also returning fire.
Trying to shoot the police.
At least 3 people were killed. 10 others were shot, including 2 police officers who are expected to survive. The shooter was wounded by police and is now in custody.
The remaining civilian injuries range from non-life-threatening to extremely critical.
Philip Todd lives nearby.
The cops were all piled up there. They told me to turn around, the active shooter.
Just moments after pulling up to buy gas, witness David Rodriguez heard a barrage of gunfire.
There's somebody lying in the parking lot, shot.
And pulled out his cell phone to record.
We don't normally hear about things like this going on in our local community. So it was quite a scare.
Stunned onlookers scrambled to safety as officers quickly locked down the area.
This situation is secure and it's contained. There are no active threats to the community.
A man working in a business near the shooting told the story of how people, including children, ran to his workplace for safety and how they were able to help them amid the nightmare unfolding.
With a real hero, you gave people refuge, you promised protection in such harrowing circumstances. You said there were kids who ran in. What can you tell us about who ran in, what they were saying to you, what they were doing?
They were actually in the area of the shooting. So some of them said, well, they locked their purse in the car in the Mad Butcher parking lot and what have you. And we had an older lady that was, she was traumatized big time. And I was trying to calm them down with the assurance that they were safe with us. And but anyway, we got them carried to some of their family, and then we brought some of them back with us and left them in the building with us until their family or whoever come pick them up from the building there. And then after that, we left.
You mentioned, Ken, that you heard a couple of different kinds of firing. Can you explain again what you were hearing and what in your law enforcement background that would lead you to believe in terms of, do you think it was a shooter and then you heard some law enforcement fire, or what do you think it was you were hearing?
I can't really tell you, but I will tell you it was shotgun and small arm fire. It was just one right after the other. It was nonstop. It's actually like you'd see on TV in an active shooter situation where he's loaded down or whoever. That was interesting. As being in law enforcement, I've seen a lot of things, but this was kind of an experience for me. To be able to hear the actual arms going off, but it did sound like fireworks. It was something.
And I'll ask you a question that I asked David as well. You told us that you work at Spartan Intimidator. From what I can gather from a quick search, it's a dealership selling tractors, lawnmowers, and the like. What can you tell us about this area and this community?
We're at an intersection. It's a busy intersection. When everything was going down, the police blocked off the road towards the Mad Butcher, there was a lot of ambulances, state police, city police. I've seen game wardens. I saw highway police. I saw pretty much all law enforcement that was available coming there. Now, I live in Warren, and I was even on my way home after we closed, and I met 6 or 7 more ambulances heading that way. And this was a good couple hours after everything happened. But anyway, I got a worker that works with me, and his mother works at the Rent-A-Center right there in the Mad Butcher parking lot. And she saw a lot of stuff. Anyway, what she saw, I don't think was very good to see, but anyway, yeah, it was something.
What are your thoughts, Ken, for your community?
Yeah, man, I hate it. I'm glad I was able to be there to comfort those children. That's something they got to live with all their life, because apparently they were right there, and they were screaming and just crying. But anyway, I really feel for them, and even the adults. I mean, it was affecting them. But anyway, we gave them refuge, and we got them home safe.
Yeah, how could it not affect them? Ken, we're so grateful to you that you're safe. And yeah, anything else you want to say, Ken?
Pardon?
Say it again.
Anything else you want to say?
I just wanted to say I wish everybody would pray for those children and those ones that had to experience that awful event, because that's something that they're going to have to live with the rest of their life. And I hate it, because I've seen it, and I don't know. That's about all I can say.
Ken Vanderwam, we're so grateful that you're safe, that you were there to provide refuge when needed, that other people could count on you. And I'm so sorry that you had to witness and hear what you had to as well. But thank you for coming on.
As the news released the updated information they were receiving later in the day, we learned that the Mad Butcher was the only grocery store for people in the town and surrounding towns to shop at, and what it was like for a shopper inside the store as she tried to run and hide from the shooter.
Tonight, we are continuing our team coverage of a mass shooting in Dallas County. 11 civilians were shot. 3 of them are dead. Both Ashley Godwin and Sarah Horbakowitz are in Fordyce to bring you the latest on a tragedy that the people of Arkansas will never forget. Thank you for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Faith Woodard. Just hours ago, Arkansas State Police held a press conference in downtown Fordyce. Ashley Godwin was there to get the latest details. Ashley, what can you tell us?
Faith, this is something no city wants to hear, a mass shooting in their area, but that is what happened today here in Fordyce. Now, what we do know is that shooting happened around 11:30 a.m. at the Mad Butcher grocery store. It's the only grocery store in the city. It's right behind me, and as I'm looking, it's still very active. Police are still taping off the area, still investigating. They have their evidence markers out, and we can still see the bullet holes through the window of the grocery store. 14 people were shot total. 3 of those people have died. 2 officers are injured, and police tell us there was one shooter. He is in custody. He was injured, but he is expected to live. Now, Colonel Mike Hager was speaking at that press conference today, and he had some sentimental words to share with the community.
Just on behalf of the state police, the law enforcement community, all public and first responders, it's tragic. Our hearts are broken. Our prayers, along with Governor Sanders, the entire state of Arkansas, will be with this community and with those affected victims.
Now, we weren't able to ask questions at that press conference, but we want to know who the shooter was and why he did this. But Colonel Mike Hager said they will be releasing more information tonight. And the governor said she was putting in every resource she has into Fordyce and making sure that they are assisted and taken care of. Now, THV 11 Sarah Herbakowitz is also here in Fordyce, and she was right up and close and personal with people who were impacted by this shooting. Sarah.
Yeah, Ashley, I know you said we still have a lot of questions for state police. That's a lot of the questions that people have who live near here, who saw the shooting, who were in the store when it happened. People want to know why it happened, how it happened, and what's next. I did speak with a lot of people, including one woman who was just shopping for dinner with her family when she said she started hearing shots fired. And when you get close enough to the grocery store, you can see just a handful of bullet holes in the grocery store window. It's just hard to see. I mean, even seeing workers still with their Mad Butcher aprons on, coming straight out of work, still processing what happened. But I do want to show you now, in her words, someone who was in the store when it all happened.
We got in, the woman was like, what's going on? Was like, they shooting. So then that's when she had got like this long stick thing. We had put it in front of the door. Like, we didn't have no service in there or nothing, so we couldn't call nobody. So like I said, it was just a regular day, and it just all happened so fast.
And when I spoke with her, she also said when police did come and get them in the end, when, you know, it was all said and it was all over, she said they told her to cover her eyes so that she couldn't see bodies on the ground, so that she couldn't see the damage, and she's still processing all of that. This is just such a terrible thing to see, and community members, because this is such a small, close-knit town, a lot of them said they knew a friend in there, or they drove as soon as they heard because their relative was in there. So definitely hard for this community, something that everyone's going to try and figure out how to move on from, and a big part of that right now is asking those questions about what comes next and how did this all happen.
Then we heard from parents who learned their daughter, a mother herself, was in the grocery store shopping when the gunfire broke out, and the heartbreaking story of how they learned she was one of the 3 deceased victims.
In the wake of mass tragedy, 3 families are feeling a deeper pain, the loss of a loved one at the hands of a gunman.
Katrin Asaf joining us now at the workplace of one of those victims. Katrin, this is obviously very tragic and devastating for them tonight. Walk us through what they told you, and also, and I'm not sure if you're hearing from law enforcement yet or if it'll come in the coming days, but do we know why Posey was shooting, who his intended target may have been? Some questions still yet to be answered, it seems.
Yeah, Bob, Laura, that's exactly right. There are a lot of questions that are still left to be answered and information that we are working to learn more. We don't have anything confirmed in terms of why that shooter did end up opening fire, and we are still hoping to try and get more information there. But I can tell you that here, people are just grieving. In fact, the family I spoke to could be called inconsolable. We're here in front of the Dallas County Medical Center. This is where I met the parents of a 23-year-old victim who not only worked in this building, but this is also where she drew her final breath.
I checked Callie's location because Good old Life 360.
When Helen Browning first got word that there had been a mass shooting in Fordyce,
And it showed she was at the hospital.
her first instinct was to check on her daughter.
I'm thinking she's at work. She come in to help. She was in town.
23-year-old Callie Weems, a nurse at the Dallas County Medical Center.
Maybe she was there and she got wounded. My baby's fine.
With a busy tone from the hospital and radio silence from Callie, Helen and Callie's stepfather, Bruce Grice, rushed to the scene, only to be met with the horrific truth. Callie wasn't a provider that day, but a patient.
My best friend was standing right there, and I said, Christy, tell me my baby's okay. And she said, I can't. And that's when I just broke.
Callie Weems, mother to 10-month-old Ivy, had been shot and killed while grocery shopping, the victim of a mass shooting her parents can't wrap their heads around.
I just want to know why Joey Posey woke up this morning and decided he needed to go ruin family's life.
The grief goes deeper. Of the 3 killed in the gunfire, Helen and Bruce are related to 2.
Our niece's dad was in there also, and he's no longer with us. So that's a double whammy to our family.
From silence to nothing but noise.
This is evil and senseless.
As phones ring with alerts over and over, reliving the tragedy with every text and call. But now Helen has a new call to make. How to raise her granddaughter, suddenly left without a mother.
Ivy was her saving grace, just as she was mine. And now Ivy gets to be my saving grace too.
This story is just horrific. People going about their day, shopping for food for their families, not knowing the nightmare they were about to be launched into. Police released a statement later in the evening announcing that the 44-year-old shooter was being charged with 3 counts of capital murder, and other charges were expected to be added on. Here's the original press conference they held during the day to give out the information they had shortly after the shooting took place. I'll be praying for the victims and survivors of this horrific tragedy. They need our prayers to help them get through this. Stay safe out there, and here is the press conference.
911 calls were received that there was an active shooting situation at the Mad Butcher grocery store in Fordyce. Law enforcement responded immediately and exchanged gunfire with a lone suspect. Unfortunately, we can confirm that 11 innocent civilians were shot, and 3 of those are deceased. 2 law enforcement officers were injured in the exchange of gunfire. The suspect was also shot and taken into custody. The injuries to the officers and the suspect are not considered life-threatening. The remaining civilian injuries range from non-life-threatening to extremely critical. The investigation is in its early stages, and we have no information or no more information that we can release at this time. The Arkansas State Police will be the lead investigative agency, and all media inquiries should be routed through our communications department. We do anticipate a further news release later in the evening. I've been in constant contact with Governor Sanders. She's committed any resources needed to aid in this investigation or any support needed for the community of Fordyce and Dallas County. To reiterate the total numbers, we had 11 civilians shot. 3 of those are deceased, and we do have some that are critical. We have 2 law enforcement officers that were shot. Neither of their injuries are considered to be life-threatening, and we had 1 suspect that was shot, is in custody. His injuries are also not life-threatening. Just on behalf of the state police, the law enforcement community, all public and first responders, it's tragic. Our hearts are broken. Our prayers, along with Governor Sanders, the entire state of Arkansas will be with this community and with those affected victims. Thank you.